Hi guys, it's Jessica. I want to welcome you back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a little bit of lunch meal prep and go over the third episode of The Nevers. Real quick, The Nevers is written, produced, and directed by Joss Whedon for the first 6 episodes, and there is some controversy over how he conducts himself in the workplace. And I actually had a full discussion with Daniel Morgan, and I'm going to go ahead and link to the video and to his channel, hopefully in the iCard, but definitely in the description down below. And if you want to know what my stance is and hear what Daniel's stance is, especially because the two of us have differing opinions, it's a great watch and it'll give you some more context for why there is a controversy. But today I want to dive into episode 3 of The Nevers. I haven't really been enjoying the show so far, but thankfully episode 3 I've really enjoyed, and I got like a lot of that old school Joss Whedon feel that I was really looking for, that I really enjoyed when I used to watch Buffy or Angel or Dollhouse. The snappy dialogue is back. I'm starting to see some of the girls bonding. I really felt like this episode was about the girl. Like, we started the episode off with Bonfire Annie trying to take over some of the Beggar King's territory, and Amalia and Penance coming to stop them. And this was actually really interesting because Penance had brought one of her gadgets with her to help keep Bonfire Annie from lighting them on fire. She was not pleased when Amalia took Bonfire Annie's weakness and started punching her around, even though Penance seems to be really great friends with Amalia and really loyal to the cause, whatever the orphanage's cause is. And there are things that she's not willing to do, and there's information that she's clearly out of the loop on since this surprised her so much. And I just like that. It showed that she had a backbone, a spine, and that she had her own thoughts. And to me, all of that was just really enjoyable. I did appreciate like some of the fun, goofy dialogue that came about between that. We got like this sweet Penance Amalia moment where I could see a relationship with them, and that was great because I hadn't seen a relationship before. So even though it was a little bit drug induced and I'm not a huge fan of that, I love that we're finally seeing some relationships happen. And later in the episode, when they find out that Amalia's face is being used to promote a place that is not theirs for touched people, and she goes with another one of the touched women to investigate further, we get to see some more team up. The two of them work as a unit. Like, they've gone to houses before, they've broken in, and they've defended their name and gone looking for touched. So I just like that kind of established story happening where they look like they're a unit, they look like they're used to working together. Another thing I really appreciate about this episode is I noticed the music. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I hadn't been paying attention to the score or the composing, probably because I had had so many story issues. But this time around I realized that the music really suits it really well. And it was just like one of those little details that now that I'm starting to get into the story I could appreciate. And I'm glad that that quality is there. Another thing that I have to say quality-wise is the production value seems really good on the special effects. They have this epic fight between Amalia and this other dude who can walk on water. And it's just really creative and fun and shows a bunch of different camera angles. The way it's filmed, the way that the whole scene plays out is really enjoyable. And I like that. And I had fun with it. And part of the reason I had fun is it's a little bit later in the episode, probably in the back third. And by that point in time, I had decided I was on board with this episode, so I could sort of like relax a little bit. Even though I'm a little bit confused as to why the Beggar King sent one of his henchmen after Amalia. I know he knows that he was there with she was there with Bonfire Annie. He must know that Bonfire Annie and Amalia aren't teamed up. So why he would send one of his people after Amalia when she just stopped the destruction and takeover of his territory is a little bit beyond me. Maybe we'll find out later where the Beggar King stands with Amalia, but we just didn't have it right here at this point, and so we just have a fight that we really got to see and enjoy. Another thing I was really relieved about is the Mary calling the touched didn't last all season. I thought us getting Mary to do the song was gonna be a whole season long issue, and I just wasn't down for that. Now that they have Mary, it seems like she should be able to sing and everything should be resolved in that plot line. We should move on to the next step of the plan, but it was just set up in such a way where I was worried we were gonna spend the next 4 episodes arguing about whether or not she wants to sing, whether or not she can sing, whether or not they can amplify what. Whether she has to go from like house to house to sing or what the deal was. So I was glad that they all had this bonding moment where they interrogated that awful woman who was helping to catch Touch to experiment on them. By the way, that scene in and of itself was incredibly touching. We got to know a lot about the woman who can break things, how her turn happened suddenly, and she's been pretty much traumatized by it. And two, we got to see how the other girls are protective of her, how the girls seem to have each other's backs. Began to feel like that orphanage was actually a community with a bunch of capable women who are working together for a common goal. And I know Mary says in this episode, none of the girls can tell her why they're all here or what the point is, even if they're not articulating it well, or there are mixed reasons, which I suspect because Mrs. Bidlow is a villain and Amalia has some kind of vision of a larger plan she's trying to put into place, that there are a lot of mixed reasoning. Even if they have those mixed reasons though, we start to see that the girls can act as a unified front and that they do have a unified goal in mind, and it's looking out for each other. So that all by itself sometimes is like enough. Also, having the girls work together to question that woman was sort of like an empowering moment. We've seen these girls like trying to get charity, and we've seen them being rescued by Amalia and Penance, but we haven't had a chance to see them by themselves taking action and getting something done. So it was really a powerful scene in that way too, showing like, hey, these people are individuals and they're independent and they can take care of things when Amalia is not around. And I think that's great because it sort of leaves the door open, like Amalia's got this larger plan she's not sharing with everyone. Maybe they're gonna surprise her, they're gonna step up to the plate, or even step in and stop her if that's what's needed. I also thought we got some great scenes between the doctor and Amalia. The conversation they had about how he was a doctor at the Institute, that it seems both Amalia and Discount Bellatrix Lestrange were at. I still don't like Discount Bellatrix Lestrange if you haven't figured it out. But I do think that maybe something more interesting is going on there, just because it does seem like maybe both she and Amalia know about the same fate that's happening, and the two of them are working on opposite angles. Malady is trying to prove that her vision or whatever she said was right and she isn't crazy, and Amalia is trying to prevent it because whatever it is isn't good. I was a little perplexed by Mrs. Bidlow's actions in this week when she found out that Amalia had figured out her ruse about the second house. Not that Amalia knows it's a ruse, it just she brought all that information to Mrs. Bidlow, and then Mrs. Bidlow asked about Mary, released the gunman, and had the gunman kill Mary. That part like confused me because I thought she was just keeping like a silo of touched people on both sides. So like as long as she keeps collecting them, she should be winning, right? But I guess that's not the case, because Mary is like the ultimate collection tool for these touched people. She killed her. I'm hoping to get more from that. I know I said I hated the pagan sex cult thing, and I still don't really like it. I feel like it's just a part of the show that was added in because the show is on HBO, and HBO shows need a certain level of nudity. And I am really perplexed as to why they call it a pagan sex cult, because right now it looks like a brothel. I don't see any magic or ritual, and I don't see anyone luring other people there by claiming that they're doing magic or that they can get something for someone through magic. So I just don't know exactly where that's going. But I will say that aesthetically, the property that the pagan sex cult is happening on is aesthetically pleasing. And I'm starting to see a way forward for Amalia and the pagan group to team up once they find out Mrs. Bidlow is evil. She can be like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And in this case, like, even though I don't necessarily approve of what you're doing with the touched, at least they're making a living and allowed to go about their existence off the clock however they want to, which is, you know, better than the guy who's experimenting and lobotomizing people. So I do feel like we just need to know more about the pagan sex cult. Like, is there any magic, or is it just a low-key brothel? I mean, if it's just a brothel for HBO nudity, fine, I'm disappointed. There's enough going on that side where I see potential for interest where it had all but disappeared in the second episode. I'm also seeing a little bit more going on with Awkward Guy. Like, I can see the walls are closing in on him. We know that Larvinia, or Mrs. Bidlow, or her sister, whatever her name is, has nefarious things going on with the touched, and when he finds that out, he's probably going to be shocked and probably going to have like a redemption arc or something. And we know now he's sort of like involved with this ferryman group, and he doesn't really want to be now that he's had some time to think about it, because he is eventually going to be in a place where he knows about the experimentations, he knows about the orphanage, and he knows about the ferryman. He's going to be the only person who can connect the 3 different groups of touched, and that's going to be kind of interesting to see come together. And I'm starting to slowly get on board with him and what that role looks like it's going to be. So overall, see, episode 3 is a lot better than the first 2 episodes. If you haven't started watching The Nevers, I'd skip the first 2 episodes. Nothing that exciting happens, and I just start in the 3rd episode. You can catch up just fine. I don't think you're missing almost any nuance. And I do think that we're set up for a lot more interesting subplots going forward. So I want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this, go ahead and leave a like. And if you're interested in hearing more fantasy and science fiction storytelling content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I do have 2 other 15-minute episodes for The Nevers, episode 1 and episode 2. And I have it in a playlist, which I'm going to go ahead and link in a card and perhaps below. And other than that, I upload every week on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. And usually it's more book content, but sometimes I throw in like a TV show or a video. It's always fantasy or science fiction flavored. So if you like that kind of thing, please go ahead and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!